Hello, folk buddies. This is the fourth annual Monty Awards. We were actually hoping to go to the real Folk Awards in Cardiff, and I don't know, live blog or tweet them or something. I mean, we haven't got tickets, but we thought, we're so important we might have got in or something. However, yes, due to scheduled leaves on the line at Didcot Parkway, we're on Montpelier Station, but it looks like we're not actually going to make it.
Let's do the show right here. Your name is
Andrew Wilson.
My name is Barry.
Hello.
Hello. We're crouched in the elegantly slanted metal and perspex booth in glamorous Montpelier Station.
Glamorous Montpelier Station with some very nice graffiti, it must be said.
Some very nice graffiti. Brilliant when they had that weird lamppost up, wasn't it?
Remind me about the weird lamppost.
It was internationally famous. They had an art thing where there was a lamppost with a projector and a recorder in it, so that when you walked past, it projected the shadow of the previous personal thing to walk past.
Oh, that's what it was doing. I knew that it was. I do remember there was something projecting little black marks on the floor. I didn't on the ground. It was projecting little. Oh, that's quite clever.
It scared the living hellflyer out of Tim because apparently the previous thing to walk past had been a massive dog.
Okay.
And so he thought he was in American Werewolf or something.
Yes. Of course, that was the alley I was mugged in. So
Oh yes, because I always thought it was the other alley.
No. The other alley was. Yeah. No. And then the other thing I often wonder about this station is if you lived in those flats, which back right onto the platform, would you develop sort of meaningful relationships with all the people waiting? Would you feel affectionate towards the station? That's something I used to think when I was a kid. If you live in an unusual place, if you live above the fishmonger shop, do you eat a lot of fish? There's I
used to be fascinated by the windows that you could see when you're on the top floor of the bus.
Yes, Oliver Postgate talks about that.
Yes,
he thinks there's it's pussycat. He thinks there might actually be a whole separate sort of species of people who only lived upstairs because he didn't realise they were. And they're just walking on Pembroke Road the other day. There's that big modern cathedral. But then on either side of it, there's ordinary houses. And, what would it be like for your next-door neighbour to be the Catholic Bishop of Bristol? But we're not here to talk about cathedrals and stations. We're here to do the fourth annual Montpelier Station Awards, affectionately known as the Monties, which are a highly prestigious set of folk awards voted on by a committee of judges of people who live in big pink houses near Montpelier Station. Which is us. Which is
us. Different big pink houses.
Different big pink houses. And very good of you when you moved house to pick your house to maintain the joke about the Monty Awards. So, without further ado, shall we go into the first Monty Award?
Let's indeed go into these.
The first Monty Award is for Best Album. The nominations... Oh, I should say before we do this, although we're doing this to coincide with the awards in Cardiff, and who knows if the train comes, we might still get there. But these are all for stuff that came out in 2014.
Yes.
So if we seem to be drifting into ancient history here, it's because it's the 2014 awards.
Follow the same rules as the Hugos.
That's a sore subject.
I know, I was going to make a hilarious joke.
Okay. We're following the same rules as the Hugos, are we?
To be honest, the hilarious joke was mainly just, as per usual, calling you a fascist. But
the nominations for the 2014 Monty Award For the best album are Fumes and Faith by Luke Jackson, Let the Wind Blow High or Low by Jimmy Aldridge and Sid Goldsmith, At Our Next Meeting by the Pharaoh Collective, Two White Cranes by Two White Cranes, and The Hum by Ahulian Tito.
That's an interesting slate, isn't it? Not slate.
Slate.
Slate would. I don't know.
Shortlist.
Shortlist. Because I was thinking about the Hugos, so the word slate was stuck in my head. An interesting shortlist.
Very much orientated towards things that I like.
Yes, indeed.
No, what way interesting?
Well, it's interesting in that there's pretty much a 50-50 gender split.
Oh, yes.
There's... I was looking at it, I was thinking that there were... I miscounted and thought there were 2 bands, 2 duos, and 2 single artists, but there's not. There's only 1 band. And, I mean, it's quite a broad spread stylistically, really. Two White Cranes is nothing at all like Jimmy Aldridge and Sid Goldsmith or the Pharaoh Collective. I would say nothing like Luke Jackson, though I suspect you.
I was just literally just going to say, but has something in common with Luke. I would guess you would be happy with any one of those albums but one winning, wouldn't you?
I would say yes, pretty much. I would not. I think all of them, apart from Luke Jackson, belong on the shortlist, but that is simply a matter of taste.
I know. Did have you got around to listening to the Pharaoh Collective?
Yes, I've listened to it. I really like the Pharaoh Collective.
Yeah, and I heard them live at St George's again last week, and I hadn't been sure if the Pharaoh Collective were going to be we're like an ad hoc band, and it was just that Alistair Roberts was touring with effectively the Emily Porter and trio as a one-off. But they're talking about the songs for their second album. They're doing new songs. It was a great concert. The person I was with, Susanna, was very excited that one of the songs involved a musical saw, which she'd heard of but never seen. And as a result of which we're now being followed or on Twitter by a lady in America who is a busker with a saw and who organises the annual saw playing championships. So did you see her little video playing the Star Trek theme on her?
No, I didn't. I did notice you did seem to have a bit of a Dean Friedman situation going on there, but.
But the thing which pleased me most about this gig on Saturday was Emily Portman did a version of Barbara Allen.
Yes.
I didn't actually ask them. I wish I'd summoned up courage to actually ask whether Emily Portman and Alistair Roberts ever have Barbara Allen offs. Because Alistair Roberts does a fantastic version of Barbara Allen with about 100 verses, and you're listening to it thinking, oh, I hope the story ends happily this time. Emily did a really, really cut down one. You didn't even have the tavern scene in it. But, anyway, that was...
For newer listeners, the Pharaoh Collective includes 2 artists who are 2 of my favourite artists, and certainly in your top 10%, aren't they?
Yes.
Emily Portman and Alistair Roberts.
So yeah, that was, and I think I have here the awards, the nominations for the national awards. Yes, the Pharaoh Collective is nominated for best album. That's the only crossover with us, so they're wrong. I mean, obviously, I was very pleased with the new Luke Jackson one. I've just got he's just put out a new one. He's just put out a new one called Family Tree, which is just a mini album with him and I guess 2 mates. I haven't studied it well enough to do a review, but it's definitely flexing musical muscles, shall we say, doing some slightly different things. The harmonies with the 2 other guys is are really very, very good. And there's one song on it I was pretty crazy about straight away, but I will.
I'll have to give it a try.
We both like The Hum. We both like Two White Cranes. So, shall we announce the winner?
Well, I mean, the thing is, presumably you're hoping that Luke Jackson's the winner.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to be happy if any of the middle three, so that's Jimmy and Sid, the Furrow Collective, or Two White Cranes win.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see who the important committee has chosen.
And the committee has chosen as the winner of Best Album, Let the Wind Blow High or Low by Jimmy Aldridge and Sid Goldsmith.
That's a very diplomatic choice by the committee, I feel.
Did you
I
think
feel
so?
like that's. I feel like that's not. I feel like maybe it's not who anyone would necessarily have picked, but no one is going home angry at.
Well, one of the things the committee has been trying to do was not give the same awards over and over and over, because we were just saying before we went on air that sometimes in the national awards there's a feeling that, you know, if Bella Head had put out a brilliant album, then it's best album Bella Head and best singer John Bowden and best, so try to spread it around a little bit. The committee's decision to say that the Let the Wind Blow High or Low is, as it often is, based on what the committee has listened to most. Because sometimes you can admire records a lot and not actually keep listening to them. I just put on a couple of days ago because the song about disability that Dick Gaughan does, which is on the Sid and Jimmy album. I forget what it's called. It has a title. But what you do with what you've got. Yeah, you must know someone like him. He was tall and strong and lean, with a body like a greyhound and a mind so sharp and keen. But his heart, just like a willow, grew twisted round itself, and almost everything he did brought shame to someone else. And just sort of, when someone you think, I need to listen to that song. I need to listen to that song.
Do they perform as Sid and Jimmy, or is that just...
They tweet as Jimmy and Sid. They perform as Jimmy Aldridge and Sid Goldsmith.
I couldn't remember whether that was the name they performed under, or whether it was just the whole thing was a mouthful. So
I think very well deserved. I don't think they're in running for many national awards. They're relatively local to us. They're from Bath, so I think.
Home turf.
Home turf. Whoa!
What's that?
It was.
There was a crowd noises there. Suddenly, tramps leapt out from the shadow.
So, shall we move on?
Yes, let's hear the next shortlist, which is Best New Song. Now, I noticed.
Shall I read them out first?
Yes, go on.
The nominations for the Montpelier Station Award for the Best New Song of 2014 is as follows. Sister by Luke Jackson. Running Out of Time by Luke Jackson has been disqualified because it won last year. Summit's Brewin by O'Hooley and Tito. Giant by Hagen the Wolf Chorus. The Ballad of Richard Howard by Sam Sweeney and the Made in the Great War show, and Diabetes Blues by Gaz Brookfield.
All I was going to say was that the shortlist has favoured Luke Jackson again.
Yes, hasn't it?
But
you'd think that there was someone on the committee who really liked Luke Jackson.
I'm obligated to no longer say what I think about people on the committee regarding Luke Jackson. This is a
well, it's very difficult. It's actually fairly when you're doing this kind of thing, it's fairly. If something's your favourite album, it's going to have favourite songs on it. Yeah.
They really like Luke Jackson. So which is fair enough. It's not like he's a hack.
We did it last week. I'm not going to do that. Surely you must think that Running Out of Time is just an equal bit of a good song.
At some point we
just an equal bit of a good song.
What's the definition of madness, Andrew?
They were sort of a ska band in the 80s, weren't they? So we also put on the list Summit's Brewin by O'Hooley and Tito.
Yes, because this is a bit more black and white for me than the previous list, because I'd say, while everyone on there is a very talented artist and all that, there's really only one song that I would have voted for.
Ooh, now let me guess. Hang on, sorry, is it Egg and the Wolf?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
they've got the third part. Sorry.
Sorry, all I'm saying is that I think it's a good song. It's relatively original in that the kind of scratchy fairy tale folk scene doesn't tend to do giants.
No.
I really like giants, so it really scores 3 out of 3 for me.
And it's a clever song. I was just listening to it.
I started with that.
Yeah, listening to it again before it came out. I mean, okay, it's not the first song that's ever done it, but the speeding up, the repeating the chorus quicker and quicker, starts out as if it's going to be a bit weird, ends out quite, sorry, air quotation marks don't come across on the radio, but quite fun. Great, and then they're a great band.
I mean, to reference back, it's quite Emily Portman-ish, despite not being Emily Portman.
Oh,
I'd certainly put Emily Portman, Heg and the Wolf Chorus, and Two White Cranes in the same big folk bucket.
okay. No, I yield no one in my admiration for Heg and the Wolf Chorus. I haven't got their new album. They've got because they did quite sensibly for a fairly new band. They did what's effectively an album as 3 EPs with similar covers. The third one has come out, but I haven't got that yet. But no, they are very, very, very nice. Okay, I guessed correctly that your vote would be for Heg and the Wolf. What are you guessing that the committee has chosen?
I suspect that the committee. I think the committee's going to have gone for Diabetes Blues.
Interesting.
But that's...
Shall we open the envelope?
That's partly based on looking at artists who are on the other shortlist.
Yes.
So it's a bit cheating.
Okay, we will open the envelope, and the winner is, and it says here, Diabetes Blues.
See,
But you haven't heard
I
Gaz...
was wise to bet the mortgage on it.
You haven't heard Gaz live, have you?
No, I don't mind him. I'm not... It's someone I like in small doses.
Yeah, I can see that. He's... There is... Hang on, some of his songs... I was going to say some of his songs are similar. There's quite a lot of his songs. There are an awful lot of what it's like being a not very successful guy on the road. And I just dug up today, I hadn't heard before, another song of his about religion called Godless Man, which is very clever, very thoughtful, very... But as in not knowing where the song is going, of sort of, you expect given what he said in other songs, the song of Godless Man is going to be atheism, and it's a sort of, this business of not being able to pray, it's not very nice, but of course I don't pray because I don't believe. It was a really clever, really intellectual song, but musically and rhythmically, it's similar to the others. I mean, sorry.
It's just, really, I'm just agreeing with you, because literally what I was going to say before you started talking was that the exact words I was going to use was that a lot of them seem like they're done to a template.
Yes, you could say that. However, I've just given him the award. I mean, I was about to say, in a way, he's the singer I'm most excited about in the last 12 months, but that would sort of prejudge other awards. I heard him at Glastonbury last year as just here's another singer-songwriter coming up on the Avalon stage. And contrary to what you think, I don't go crazy about every young male singer-songwriter. Most of them are, and it was one of those sort of one song quite good, one song that's quite interesting, and I think it was the song about bullying, which I actually sort of went, oh yes, he's definitely worth listening to. And given that he's a humorist, I would class him as a humorous singer. He really does, depression, physical illness, bullying, something else miserable. He doesn't shy away from these things. I picked Diabetes Blues. I think it is different. I think anyone who can put into a song the line, you've got to cut down on the sweeties, you've got type 2 diabetes, is brilliant. Did you listen to the YouTube video of him sort of just by himself in a room with a guitar, sort of a fairly live copy, or was it the rather interesting video he's made in which he's being chased around by a man dressed as a jar of cider.
I'm not even sure that you didn't dream that.
No, I'm afraid I did. I have to say his videos are endearingly amateurish.
But no, I can't remember which one I listened to because I didn't. I was doing something else with them playing on my phone, so I've heard of all these things.
The thing is that in the last couple of times I've heard him live, and on the album which is just about to come out, there's a little coda he's added to the end of Diabetes Blues, in which he goes back to the doctor and he's been misdiagnosed. It's not type 2, it's type 1. You're still fairly ill, but it's injections now, not pills. It's actually something very characteristic of his songwriting, which I think is one of the things which is really nice, and actually in another way is a weakness, that because he's thoughtful and all of these things are on big subjects, there is a sense of him going back and adding bits. The other God song, which is called Deathbed, has actually got a really good punchy last line of I don't have to read your book, you don't have to like this song, boom. And then there's a little bit on the end that says, yeah, but then going back and thinking again, and it's quite interesting. I heard him doing the thing Glastonbury, and just sort of, antenna went off, this guy is good. Next time I heard him was in a pub, and everyone in the pub knew the songs, and it was just, one of the best atmospheres I can remember. He just did did you come across the West Country song?
West Country's been good
to me. Just a pub in Bristol, and all these young people just singing along. I'd rather see the West End of the M5 corridor.
I think he's. Oh, I'm trying to think of a word other than populist, because that's not really what I mean. But I can really imagine that kind of connection with the audience and playing something.
Oh, and also what a showman! The thing where he was in a pub, people were dancing, and they were dancing in the middle of one of his serious songs. And in the middle of one of his serious songs, a couple of people started sort of vaguely trying to limbo dance. And he just carried on playing chords until they finished. And it was, oh no, I love him to bits.
I mean, this is the thing, because this is just me being descriptive. I'm not taking the mickey or anything. You have been nutty about Diabetes Blues for months. Yeah. It's come up again and again and again as something you liked. So it's clearly really, really hitting a chord. I was listening to him. I think, as I say, I like him in small doses because I think sometimes I find him musically wearing.
Yeah.
But it possibly going to sound slightly odd, but listening to it and catching the lyrics and sort of thinking it'd be an enjoyable blog post if I was reading it. It's nice turns of phrase and generally saying confident in his opinions without conviction that he's always right, that sort of thing, and just.
Oh, his persona is sort of an everyman, isn't it? He doesn't have any brilliant insights. Bullying is horrible. It's rotten when you get sick, but it's no one's fault. They're not stunning things, but they're down the line.
But I mean, even in
did you hear the bullying song?
Yeah, I mean, even in the bullying song, sort of, it's pointing out. I think to paint him as that kind of, that makes him sound slightly trite when there is. The bullying thing has enough of a bite in it, because I mean the repeated thing is basically that adult advice towards bullying doesn't fucking work and isn't meant to be anything other than a way to not admit that they can't really do anything and get you to think you have some power over it.
For the averagely intelligent or slightly overweight, the best years of your life might not be all that fucking great. And you see, again, I heard him sing that up on a stage, then in a pub with people punching the air. Oh no, Yeah, so I suppose we're allowed to be enthusiastic about songs we're giving awards.
But no, he's yeah.
If you're going to start coming to gigs again, you will not be able to avoid him in the next 12 months.
No, and I am starting coming to gigs again.
He's opening for Mad Dog McCree.
Oh, cool.
Later in the year, so that'll be a good one.
Again, to regular listeners, I stopped going to gigs for nearly a year, really. Basically, 'cause I wasn't very well and I was skint. Whereas now I am treated and should have a steadier income. So I'll be going to gigs again.
Right. Okay, shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Category 3.
Category 3. We call this the best version of old song because it's not necessarily traditional
No.
track. So the nominations for the Monty Award for the best new version of an old song in 2014. Luke Jackson, he keeps coming up.
He does, I don't know.
I don't know, Jesus.
What kind of mad stalker is on the committee?
Luke Jackson for Beeswing, the Farrow Collective for Young Outlaw of the Hills, Sid Goldsmith and Jimmy Aldridge for The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore, Martin and Eliza Carthy for The Grand Conversation on Napoleon, and Bellowhead for Roll Alabama Roll.
Yeah. Now, none of these strike me. I'd say if I was put against the wall and forced to vote for one, it'd probably be Young Outlaw of the Hills. I reckon the committee's giving it to fucking Beeswing. Which I won't elaborate on my opinion because I think it was very well conveyed in the words fucking Beeswing. It's nothing to do with Beeswing. Beeswing's a brilliant song.
Beeswing is a brilliant song.
It's one of my favourite songs. One of my favourite memories is that time in the pub where they started playing it and we all were like, oh, let's play Beeswing. And then we drunkenly gave them lots of money and they said, don't worry, we got... It was brilliant. It was just a whole thing.
Lovely. Can I ask a tangential question? Yes. You weren't very taken with any of these. Is there anything you can think of that you would have chosen instead?
Not sure, really. Suspect not.
Okay. In 2 sentences, and I've got this little...
No, the version of Teardrop wasn't on Hum, was it? They've not recorded it, it's just a live thing.
Teardrop is...
The one O'Healy and Tito do, the Massive Attack song.
How does it begin?
Teardrop in the fire.
Yeah, no, I think that they've been doing that. I don't think that was new. I think they've been doing that for a long time.
That's pretty, because that would possibly have got my vote.
The reason the committee put Roll Alabama Roll on that list was I was listening back to the last week's last podcast where we were both being ever so slightly sniffy about Bellowhead, weren't we? We were both.
I think not as much sniffy as kind of. I'm trying to think of a word similar to complacent.
Yeah,
we're just too used to them.
But they put up. Okay, they put it up recently, so technically it shouldn't be in these records. But they put up the YouTube video of Roll Alabama Roll, which was basically one of those videos of backstage stuff.
Wait, so have we got a folk award scandal? If that's not eligible.
No. Roll Alabama Roll is eligible.
Right.
It's definitely eligible. It came out last year, but it was just I listened to it again because they put this video up, and the thing that while saying, of course, we preferred it. Or I preferred it when it was Spears and Bowden singing 100-verse ballads and being very serious. Of just how happy listening to them do Roll Alabama Roll, just how cheerful and happy and
that's what I associate with Bellowhead.
That's why people love them. So that's what. Truthfully, I think the committee put Grand Conversation on Napoleon on the list because they needed to put something off that album because they're two brilliant, lovely, wonderful people.
It's a very good album.
It's a very good album. I think that's my favourite on it. The L&N Don't Stop Here Anymore. It is a Johnny Cash song. Johnny Cash sings it. It's traditional. They do an awesome version of it. I just love the sequence of I used to think my father was a black man. I just think it's a brilliant song, and they just do it, and they don't do it in any. Given a couple of mainly finger in your ear English folk singers doing this, they don't. There's nothing mannered about it. They just do it. I love it.
It took me, because I was obviously re-listening to it today, and it actually took me a catch or two to notice that it wasn't like a Geordie's Dead Down the Mine type song, you know.
Just literally in 2 sentences, I've literally got a minute timer here. Is what you didn't like about Luke doing Beeswing the same thing that I liked about it?
Do you like... No, you're trying to trick me into being a cunt.
No, I'm interested. So, I'm interested to know what...
Sterile.
Okay, sterile. Okay. Yes, no, okay. Sorry, it is.
It's always what I'm going to think about it.
Do you know Mr. C.S. Lewis's thing about friends? There are 2 kinds of friends, he says. There is the kind of friend, and he has in mind Charles Williams, who you automatically agree with. You look at something and you agree. You don't have. There's nothing to be overcome. You are like two pools of water flowing together. And there is the other kind of friend, and it isn't that you disagree about everything, because then you couldn't possibly be friends. It's that how can the other person be so nearly right? How can they like the same things but get the wrong thing out of all of them? How can they just miss the point? And that for Lewis was Tolkien, you see.
I've never threatened you with fruit, though.
Okay. There is a problem with Luke Jackson's cover of Beeswing, which is he slowed it down, and I think he's lost a lot of the tempo. That's a choice. Can you see why I think that the characterisation, the drama, the almost acting, the intelligent reading of the song that he's putting into it is... Can you see...
The problem is, it's always going to sound like I'm taking the piss, but I have repeatedly and consistently said I can't.
No, but that particular... Sorry, forget all the bicycles. Just supposing that I'd said, look, there's this kid in a folk club, and he's done a cover with Beeswing. Just look at this.
It would always... There's clearly something there that resonates and
just
doesn't...
the little shrug he puts in when he says, look, I'm half surprised.
It's like an invasion of the body snatchers.
Like the slightly... and the way he sort of... Just a slightly sort of sexy lilt to the woman's voice, and, he swallows. I thought maybe we should. It's just, no, we're never going to agree. I'm sorry. Okay.
We're going to have to ban him at some point, I think. Because it clearly... torments you. No,
it doesn't. It doesn't torment me because
they don't get the 3 o'clock phone calls. Why don't you like me?
By the way, I said he released his 3rd album. Actually, it's his 5th album. Because there's the one that I bought at the first when I first heard him, which is an EP he did. It's the one with the Why Does No One Understand Teenagers songs on it. But if you go onto iTunes, there is a charity album which he did when he was about 15. And the thing is, I would love to say, oh yes, and you can tell this is a lad with promise, or you would... He actually sounds really similar. He actually does a version of... He does the Baker's Wood song, and it's more extended. There's a lot more refrain. It's basically... he may just have come into the world as... Anyway, we're not talking about Luke Jackson. We're not talking about Luke Jackson. I'm going to tell you what the committee chose as the best song. And is the committee going to get punched? The best version of the old song is Alistair Roberts singing The Young Outlaw of the Hills with the Furrow Collective. You only quite like that.
But, well, the thing is that none of them were exceptional, but they're all, apart from one of them, were all good songs.
I thought that had everything that we love about Alistair Roberts with a wonderful... Because the thing about the Furrow Collective is it is sort of a collective. It's probably what I think where they got the name from. It's 4 people, and like one of them will sing a song, and the others are harmonising, and then there's no lead performer, and that I thought was very much an Alistair Roberts song, but with the others harmonising the chorus. I mean, it's a wonderful song. I mean, not a song I'd ever come across anyone else singing. Real person, apparently, a highway. Captain Brennan was a highway. Was a Irish highwayman. Actually, really dramatic song. I was betrayed by that false-hearted woman, but I'm doing that. And he just does it with that wonderfully sort of... There's something... he somehow manages to be both detached and involved at the same time. Oh, I love Alistair Roberts.
I am also a huge fan of Alistair Roberts. I suspect everyone's just got just so much enthusiasm for music to spread around, and Daphne and Celeste got my...
Who?
Right. Daphne and Celeste are a pop act.
Oh, yes.
Who put out a really, really good single recently. Really incredibly good. I'm going to make you listen to it at some point.
Yes.
But the thing is, everyone feels slightly guilty because everyone's reaction was, fucking hell, Daphne and Celeste put out a really good single. Because the last thing anyone ever remembers from them is in 2000 being bottled off stage at the Reading Festival.
Okay.
Because they were, I believe they did Ooh, Stick You. They were a bubblegum pop girl duet.
You know, sometimes how I say, the Velvet Underground, a pop group, my lord. These are the people I genuinely haven't heard of.
They've gone in. The last thing anyone else remembers them putting out was broadly in the same bucket as the Cheeky Girls.
Okay.
They've just put this single out, and it's going to be on compilation albums in 50 years' time. It's a fantastic pop single. You and I Alone, it's called.
Did you read the man on the interwebs defending the whole concept of bubblegum pop?
Probably. Well, I might not have read it, but I'm sure I will agree with it.
No,
Because,
it was the Monkeys, and there was Archie. There was actually a band that was in fact a cartoon,
yeah.
and was saying actually this
Well, it was Archie.
It was, yeah, but I mean they were using the Archie characters, and then different people were saying this guy was arguing this has got much more to do with what music's for, what it's about, what people love about it, than a lot of the clever stuff people admire.
That's broadly what I have to agree with, but broadly what I believe.
The next thing on our list is where are we up to? Number 4.
Yes.
Best gig or set. Now this is quite biased towards things that the committee have been to. The committee's nominations for the best gig or set of 2014 are the Roaring Troman at Kingsdown Wine Vaults, Gaz Brookfield, have we mentioned him?
Yeah, we've mentioned him once or twice.
Gaz Brookfield at the Bank, the Fire Pit Collective at the Old England, all of which are pubs in Bristol, and Jim Murray at Chapel Arts in Bath.
I didn't go to the Jim
You
Murray.
didn't go to that? No, the Jim.
Didn't go to any of them.
The Jim Murray one was the one where he said it was going to be. It was being recorded. It was going to come out as an album, but I don't believe it's done so yet.
No.
But quite apart from that, it was a long time ago. I believe I'm correct in saying it was almost completely not acoustic, but there wasn't any of the. I don't think he went into the electronics at any point, but he did. But it was the best. I think the best Jim Murray concert I've been to, and it was one of those things where where there were people in the audience who were fans like me, and there were clearly people in the audience who weren't and had been taken on by other people, and you could see them being won over. Notably in the second half, where he did a few of his slightly less folky things. He did the Orpheus song, which is an Inez Mitchell song. That if we had an award for the concert that I'm most sorry I missed, the concert that I'm most sorry I missed in 2010, admittedly, but that when they did Hadestown in London with Jim Murray as Orpheus and Martin Carthy as Hades, but it's a fantastic song. But he did that in the second half, and you heard him do his Adam Ant song.
Yes.
On one of the albums, and it was one of those things where maybe in the first half, this is a song about, people dying of eating mushrooms in the forest and things. I think he does that one, but things like that. There were people in the audience thinking, "Oh yes, you said he wasn't like a folk singer, but he's singing songs about highwaymen and apprentices being abused and all of this." And it just great. And by the end, everyone was, "This guy's amazing." She is. It was just beautiful.
That's something that struck me while you were talking. I was listening, obviously, but we always identify him with the electronic stuff and the fake Skyping and things.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually seen him do that for 2 or 3 years now. It's been all very...
I think he's positively, consciously moved on from that, because although the last full album, Skunk, he said originally it was going to be simpler, but it became quite produced. But there's not much of the thing which people who don't get him always describe it as the beeps and whistles, which there is.
I mean, before he clicked with me, I always thought of him as being overproduced, which sounds odd to say about a live thing, but
Hang on, the things which made his name of Sweet England and Low Culture, and there are genuine. I think his version of Scenes of Love is genuinely doing that nightclub thing of the beep 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 in the and obviously he does the intercut with the rapper and the hip hop singer. So overproduced is a funny word for an album that a guy made in his student bedroom, but it was definitely, and also.
I mean, quite often when we're talking about things, you say, if I haven't seen them live, I've just seen the concert, you say, oh, you'll come back to it different when you've seen it live. And I do think that happened with Jim Ray, because I think sometimes the earlier albums can feel like someone kind of just using modern music's tricks to polish folk, and then when you saw him live in his earlier incarnation, it was obvious that he was actually combining both of them equally. He wasn't he wasn't trying just to add gloss.
I mean, I had to come round to him. I heard him the first time I heard him was at the a festival for both Oak, I think, and I knew his reputation, and I knew the thing about all his mates in animal costumes at the Folk Awards, and you know that he was experimental. And I heard him the first time, and I thought, hang on. All he's doing is he's taking standards that probably other people wouldn't sing. Probably not too many other people would sing early one morning. And he's putting nightclubby stuff in it, but I'm not sure this is that. I then heard him a couple of times doing purely acoustic gigs. I heard him when they were doing they were actually jazz nights, or sometimes they were folk nights in a hotel in Bristol, and it was just him and a piano and a guitar. I came round to his voice. But interestingly, I now think that early stuff is fantastic. I think, okay, yeah, it's a good joke to be doing Lucy One, which is a horrible, horrible, horrible English folk song about rape and incest and murder, and then getting a hip hop singer to do it in that idiom. But actually, it's really musically clever how the two things. But this concert I'm talking about at the Chapel House was pretty much, and I think he is consciously moving into a middle period in which he's doing ballads, he's doing your Lord Douglas and everything. I'm not saying he will never do that again, but I think he knows where he is. Amazing. The trouble with doing it this way is you know which one I'm going to say is the best, because it'll be the one I haven't talked about.
No, you're assuming a much higher level of intellectual engagement.
We've talked about the guest book for a concert at the Bank, where it was a tiny little pub. I turned up and I thought, oh gosh, this pub is heaving with students. We're not going to be able to hear him sing. And it turned out it was heaving with students who every single one of them was there to hear against Brookfield.
It's just clicked the Bank, yeah. You've kept saying where it was, and I've not visualised the actual pub, but yes.
Yes, I think I put it up on YouTube, but I did actually record him on my little phone singing the West Country song, which he finishes on, and everyone is singing along. And he actually says in this recording, "I fucking love this pub." It's just
the West Country song, of course, being an ironic choice to pirate.
Sorry?
A West Country song being
yes. I don't think it's pirating.
I don't either.
The Roaring Troman, you're going to have to hear at some point. They're local to Bristol. They are three, I think it's three, maybe four, guys, and they sing sea shanties.
How did we get onto them?
Are they not on my best? Are we not doing best gig on set?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Roaring
Sorry, read them wrong.
Roaring Troman. This is another small local gig. Kingstone Wine Vaults, who do music nights. A little bit hit or miss their music nights because they're a small pub. If the band is right, then you're in a small pub with 40 or 50 people drinking beer and listening to a small band. If it doesn't click, you're you're in a pub with 40 or 50 people drinking beer, and you're the one who's trying to hear the Nine Tree Stumblers, for example, just to take a random. So it's a little bit hit and miss. But that night in the Wine Vaults, they did the sea shanties. Some of them were people like me who'd gone because it was a shanty band. A couple of people sitting next to me who, young student types who'd say we wanted to do something different. We heard this was on. I'm sure there were people just there to drink. Everyone was joining in. Everyone was having a fantastic time. It's a good evening where they do their standard one. They do their final song. And then they've held back Bound for South Australia to encore on, and then the audience won't stop clapping. And when they were getting into What Shall We Do with the Drunken Sailor, Kamal, I've heard them since. They're they're really, really. The main singer is I believe, trained to be an opera singer. Looks rather like it. Fantastic. And the winner is, of course, the Fire Pit Collective at the Old England. Now, you've only heard the Fire Pit Collective's records, and you thought they were a fairly good example of a genre.
Yeah.
When it was one of those. Andrew's been to concerts and talks about it live, podcasts, and it was just when I was starting to edit them, because I don't think you would have allowed my review of the Fire Pit Collective through if you'd been editing it. Because there's a point where I'm actually live blogging from the from the pub, which is just at the bottom of our road. And it was St Patrick's night. The Fire Pit Collective's opening gambit, I remember, was St Patrick's night is associated with two things: with nationalism and religion. We fucking hate nationalism and religion. Just went off. But there was a point there where I was just.
So I was imagining you with your little Union Jack waistcoat.
just sort of. I'm in this pub that I've never been in before, on my street, full of people of all different ages, young people, and sort of those people who probably come with the pub with sort of beards and bald heads and possibly a mouth organ. And there is these sort of punk folkies, I would call them, at the front, and they're singing "What Do the Deep Sea Say," and everyone is dancing and singing, and I'm just forget Mellowhead, forget Show of Hands. This is the real thing, and I think I still think that. I think they're amazing.
Did we agree that they were a bit tricks upon Traveller?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. Again, you need to hear them.
Yeah.
But... Okay, number 5 is our annual special award for the gig that was most special. And our nominations for the gig that was most special in 2014 was Nick Jones at St George's, Show of Hands at the Trowbridge Festival, Blackbeard's Tea Party at the Avalon Stage in Glastonbury, and Yoko Ono at the Park Stage in Glastonbury.
Now, was Nick Jones not disqualified for winning last year?
Yeah, I think Nick Jones. That makes it much easier for me to say Nick Jones is disqualified for winning last year. It was a fantastic evening.
It was. They're always infused with Nick Jones's-ness.
Nick Jones.
And him going off. We covered it on the podcast. Him going off like someone's dad with his poem about the shopping. And
and every time you see that was being described as this was his farewell tour. But then when he came up on the stage at the Cambridge Folk Festival, which he wasn't supposed to be appearing at, but it was just a tribute to him, that was going to be his last ever appearance. And then so I hope. And just speaking about people doing last ever tours, it's now about 3 years since Swarms announced his retirement, and he's still. I carry on forever. Yeah. No, but that was now Show of Hands at Trowbridge. Now hang on. Now I am thinking with the Show of Hands at Trowbridge, I'm actually thinking of Phil Beer and Friends.
The daytime one.
The daytime one.
That was. We were on the outskirts of that, and that was a lovely afternoon. That's the most middle-aged praise anyone has ever given.
That was. So you were on the out.
We were just because this year at Trowbridge, I can't remember if we mentioned it in the podcast, but the thing was you and Opera Buddy tended to be like crammed in up front, and myself and Tim tended to be lying on a rug outside the tents, kind of looking in, enjoying the sunshine, and that was just as a concert, just as a festival concert, as opposed to just a gig. That was one of the best ones, I think, just in that there were people outside the tent, 6 or 7 rows deep, huge chunk of the field, feeling really included in the concert and really just... to say chilled out makes me sound like a tosspot, but just lovely, it was just absolutely perfect for its place and time and really nice.
You think that it's interesting how you have massively come around to Show of Hands, not all their songs, but you've largely come around to...
I think I said as soon as I'd seen them a couple of times in concert, I said they were good, very good live band. I don't ever really listen to their albums or anything. Basically, when I started seeing them live, I started appreciating them technically, and then they made an effort to kind of distance themselves from people who misinterpreted songs and say, in retrospect, we made it easy to misinterpret and things, and that kind of won me over personally, and I think that's just...
I think the first time, I don't know if it was the first time you'd heard them, the first time we went to a Show of Hands together, which was at the Bristol Folk Festival, there was definitely a sense of you sort of... I was still annoyed by them. And so,
no, I never disliked them as much as you think I did, because most of it was me just winding you up.
So you do like Luke Jackson after all!
Yeah, let's go with that. I was wary of them.
Yeah.
I think I didn't lose that wariness until they said, until they stopped being defensive about the couple of songs. That
I think it's about. I mean, it's the one we won't mention, and there's a couple of others. You're not Country Life and the piratey one. You're not too keen on ideologically, but
no. But I think
I suspect of their
and I suspect I wouldn't have been so pissy about those if I hadn't been put really on edge and been wary because of the song that must not be named.
It's good that we. It's good that we. Who was it who described our podcast as emotionally draining? That was your friend.
Was that one of the Cambridge people? Yeah. Which they can talk. We don't shout anus nearly as much as they do on their podcast.
So a special. Nick Jones at St George's, Show of Hands at Trowbridge. Now, Blackbeard's Tea Party at Glastonbury. Now, obviously, you're not one of the Glasgow crowd.
I'm not. I have responsibilities, and you want to try and take Tim to Glastonbury. He thinks Trowbridge Folk Festival's like Heart of Darkness. I
am quite sure that if I had never heard of Blackbeard's Tea Party, if someone just said there's a folk rock band coming here, then I can't believe that I wouldn't love them to bits. Having followed them from when they were buskers, when it was the old line-up, when they came here to the what was then the Croft. They're very special, and seeing them on the Avalon stage at Glastonbury, and the fact of that they think they were a little bit nervous, and they got vans giving us boxes of tea bags.
The tea bag, yeah, the tea bag people.
And it is a thing that at because of the way it is laid out, the acoustic stage at Glastonbury is slightly up a hill, so it tends to be people have said, aha, Suzanne Vega, whoever it is, we will go to the acoustic stage. The Avalon stage is in a field with people, where there are the people selling the waffles and the, vegan smoothies.
Vegan smoothies?
Vegan smoothies. It tends to be a drifting in and drifting out, and if it's the wrong act, they can be playing to an empty tent. And I think, because of the teabagging, there were loads of people there to start with. And as soon as they started, people came in, and it just got more and more full. And the atmosphere during it, and in the Glastonbury podcast, there is actually a pirated a recording of them doing, I think, either Chicken on a Raft or Whip Jamboree. And the Stew sort of saying, I can't hear you, and he just knows he's just gone off. And the atmosphere afterwards of people, strangers, not, but just sort of, I've heard them before, I live in York, I've never heard them before, aren't they great? It was just lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
And, since when they've,
No, I was agreeing with you.
And since when they've, they've done property and all sorts of things, and who else did I have? Yes.
It was kind of lovely to watch them break last year, really, wasn't it? It was.
Now, I am now going to get myself into huge trouble. The award for, the committee's nomination, the award for the gig that was most special in 2014, I'm sorry, because it has also had many nominations for the worst gig of 2014. It has had many nominations for the worst gig of all time. And unfortunately, we were up this week again against all the
racist dickheads on the internet.
Because
actually, I think it's more misogynistic than racist.
It's everything. But anyway, but my most special gig or set of 2014 by a country mile was Yoko Ono at Glastonbury. I mean, given how much weird nightclub music there is at Glastonbury, the idea that people were sort of, a lady doing a lot of screaming in a song, that's a bit dangerously avant-garde. I mean,
yeah, I can understand people not liking Yoko Ono, but I don't think I've ever read anyone criticising her who's been criticising what she actually does, rather than what they think she should be doing in their head. I mean,
there is incidentally discussion. There is a separate discussion to be had about her influence on Lennon's music. That is a separate question. But
we're going to have to do a podcast one day about actual proper, really alternative music, and then we can do about the fact that she basically shagged her way around the Japanese alternative rock scene before she even met him.
Oh, and obviously, I mean, I said that there was an internet backlash against her because Lennon's first wife died last week. But the way Lennon treated his first wife was, appalling. That's all true. That's all true.
Yeah. And the thing is, it wasn't as if he wasn't prone to being shitty to Yoko Ono either. He was not
Absolutely, but the bottom line is, which was one of her films, the bottom line is Lennon loved Yoko Ono. Yoko Ono was devoted to John Lennon. However, I think she, she wasn't probably the ideal, I don't know. She is there. She does have that status within the Beatles mythos and therefore the 20th century mythos. I hadn't realised what a tiny little woman she is. Everyone was in the audience saying, how old is she? She must be in her 60s. She's 80.
Yeah, she looks about 55.
And it was I think the comparison I made in the podcast at the time was comparing her and the other old lady, Dolly Parton, who did at Glastonbury, who did a performance, and that's her job, and she was brilliant. She was brilliant. I bought a Dolly Parton album. But Yoko Ono was giving of herself. I do not know if I think that it is true that if we all take our clothes off and wish for it enough, we will have world peace within 5 years. I don't know if I believe that. But she does. Yeah. She does.
I mean...
And the thing of this little lady on the stage, her opening gambit was... fracking is now one of her courses. And her opening gambit, because it was the one day where there'd been terrible weather. And Dolly Parton had said, well, gee, I don't mind all the mud because I grew up on a little old farm. And Yoko Ono's opening thing was, it is not the rain that spoils little English villages, it is fracking! It's...
I will say that I think you underestimate how much Dolly Parton is saying shit like that as a joke.
Yes, and also, in fact, sorry, I thought Dolly Parton was great, and also how much of that, in fact, all the all there's Dolly Parton, there's a lot of schmaltz, there's a lot of religiosity, but she means it as well. So no,
Yeah.
I'm not being fair. It just happened to be that I ran a mile through the mud to get from a Dolly Parton stage to the Yoko stage.
I always think with Yoko Ono, it's the thing where no matter how whether she what actual level of talent she has as an artist, because I've no doubt that that's how she thinks of herself rather than as a musician. It's you know she'd be doing it if she was living in a bedsitter on Cromwell Road. You know, it's not. She doesn't need to be doing any of the shit she's doing. She could just go home and, watch old art DVDs for the rest of her life. Yeah. But, it sounded much more profound in my head.
No, maybe there were people who were actually in the audience who were equally cynical as the people who were slacking it off on the internet. I had a sense that for 15 minutes after the concert, everyone who was there was genuinely, I want to go and radiate love to my friends, and then, because, she told us to, and it's all true, it will work. And if the Dalai Lama is that good this year, although I doubt if he'll be...
It's mainly do Strawberry Switchblade covers, but... that wasn't even my joke. I'd nicked that joke of someone else, Adam Buxton.
The Onion Award for making the church cry. Peggy Seeger for Still Quite Early Morning at last year's official Folk Awards. Luke Jackson, again, for Down to the Sea, specifically the live YouTube version. Show of Hands for Cousin Jack at the Trowbridge Folk Festival, and Sam Sweeney for Made in the Great War. I think actually, given that I did the thing of the same song can't win it 2 years running. Maybe what I should have done was said that would have been just to give the award to Show of Hands for Cousin Jack and just say that
you've never not cried at it.
I have never not cried in that song.
It's Trowbridge. You heard it 3 times.
It was Alan Basker doing it. They did it at the. Actually, can I just say that the thing we didn't actually say when we were raving about the Show of Hands gig at Trowbridge was the thing was that Show of Hands were officially not gigging over the summer.
Yes,
and it was Phil. It wasn't a big secret that Miranda Sykes was there and Steve Knightley was there, and the thing that was billed as a solo. Phil Beer gig, it was obvious what was going to happen, but nevertheless, it was a lot of fun that he did the solo things, and then they came along.
And I'm guessing that was why it was a better concert, because presumably part of the decision was for it to be more relaxing for them as an act. If something had suddenly gone horribly awry, they could have restructured it and so on.
Although I'm not going to be able to tell you who, but Steve Knightley's Friday night. Much more big band gig without Show of Hands with other people was fabulous as well. I would have to go and look up who was in it with him, but it was great. But it was them singing. It was them singing Cousin Jack in the tent in the unofficial gig, which I had in mind there. And the guy standing next to me was blubbing as well. Come on.
It wasn't. I'm not judging you.
You may not get.
I can't listen to Up the Junction.
But hang on, Cousin Jack may not get you in that way, but it's a fantastic song about home and.
I can absolutely see why it gets you that way.
Yeah.
No, there's no argument. Just the consistency made me laugh.
Yes.
Because they're going to think I'm taking the piss, but literally every single time I've been with you and it's been and the artist has played it, you've ended up.
Sam Sweeney Made in the Great War. We may come back to, but that's also been nominated, and Luke Jackson Down to the Sea, which is off the new Films of Faith album. And he's the one that would most obviously in the same style as his first album. Although on the first album it's It's very much, do you remember when we were kids climbing trees? This is, do you remember when we were teenagers drinking beer? But it's the same thing. Now, I'm going to take a step back now, because the winner of the Onion Award for making the judge cry is, of course, Will Jackson, the Down to the Sea. Of course.
I am genuinely surprised, because I had put my money on it being Sam Sweeney.
As I said, we may come back to Sam Sweeney.
Ah, then I know which other award he's winning.
If you would note, I think he's the only nomination for it.
Yeah, possibly. I've misread the notes that we're certainly not working from.
Down to the Sea is a great song. I don't believe that Clary has never had friends, and I don't believe that anyone who's never had friends can't. I don't believe anyone who's ever had friends. I don't believe that if you've had friends that you can't connect to that thing of someday it might feel right, someday we might do it all. We might go back down to the sea and have days like those again.
I've still got friends.
I was going to compare it with Bob Dylan's Dream, about which it has almost nothing in common except that it's about friends. So I won't do that. It's great on the record, but there's a YouTube version of it. Sometimes he's another one whose videos aren't always that great, but this is really nicely done. He's just in a corner of a studio just playing it. I forwarded that song to all my friends on YouTube. It is on YouTube, on Facebook, and the thing I said, I'm afraid, was literally true.
What did you say?
Listen to this song. Small pool of tears on my keyboard. Oh, sorry, we didn't say...
I was very nice at keeping my mouth shut, and you decided you had to be defensive about it. So
we didn't actually, sorry, in going through those, we didn't talk about Becky Seeger last year.
Yes.
Which was also, given that it was about a week after her mother had died, and standing up and doing that song and slightly altering the line, so it's when your fingers can play no longer, give your guitar to someone, or give your banjo to someone. So yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was an experience.
Now we've got 7. Let's do the three silly ones first. Let's do 8. Let's do.
Just since that's number 9, which I passionately agree with.
So yes, we've got a few special awards which don't have nominations, but we have number 8, which is this year called the Monkhouse Award for the best album of Frank Sinatra covers by a performer named Bob. Because there's always one of these. Actually, strictly this should be next year, but for Bob Dylan singing, or Bob Dylan's album Shadows in the Night.
Yes.
Which was great.
Which I still haven't listened to. We'll have to, although you've been talking to another fan of it.
This is really your choice. Number 9, the festival attendee of the year.
It's Lycra Man at Trowbridge. It's a man who wears a Lycra kind of ski suit type thing and just dances a little heart out. And we were really worried because we didn't see him the first day of Trowbridge this year. But he wasn't injured or dead. He was alive, and he was dancing and dancing. It's probably worth pointing out that I was taking quite strong painkillers at Trowbridge this year.
He's there every year.
No. It was just the extent that probably is not coming across in this podcast, to which I was worried and then glad when he turned up. But yeah, he wears a black and kind of a black lycra suit with a sort of multicoloured 80s type stripe on it.
I have a horrible feeling he owns more than one lycra. I think he comes in different. I think it's something.
Oh, I think I've only ever seen.
Oh, maybe it's only one.
But you might have seen him at different concerts. He might have his Trowbridge suit.
I've never seen him anywhere else, and he's definitely just the person who's gone to the concert, because I think the very tall people and the fairies, I think they only dress up like that to go to Trowbridge. But no, that didn't work.
I was trying to work out what
I was trying to imply that I thought that the people on stilts and the people who were performers had actually just happened to have come along.
But the performers, the people on stilts and the really fucked up, scary people carrying trunks.
Oh, they were Glastonbury as well.
Oh, they freaked me out so badly.
Describe them to the ladies and gentlemen.
They were wearing a built-up suit. You know, like your mad fellow who pretended to be riding an ostrich in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
One of those type of things. But instead of an ostrich, it was an old man carrying, sea trunk, a ship trunk type thing, that opened. So, it was really creepy.
So they were like, it was like the puppet. This guy was quite deformed because his hands were stretched around
It was, yeah.
You see, I think you thought that it would be a bit showy-offy, but the circus area at Glastonbury, which is full of people like that, there's there are the trolls and just everything. Yeah. I find that rather fun, of just the mad people doing little. It's not even street theatre. It's just look at us being quite odd.
I don't inherently dislike it. It very much depends whether the person appears to be doing it. If they appear to be doing it as a job or as a thing they're really enthusiastic about, fair enough. It's the people who are doing it in lieu of a personality that annoy me.
Yes.
And I mean, I have nothing against these people. I love that. I love Trowbridge seems to be quite good in that it seems to be the people who are clearly being paid to be there, or who are mad old hippies or mad young hippies. I've never thought, oh, fuck off at Trowbridge. They were just really creepy.
No, sorry, they were supposed to be.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, they were supposed to be creepy, and it's a little bit like supposing it happened that there was a song that was a little bit sad, and someone was crying, and someone else was saying, "Oh, that's quite sad." Yeah. It's like rather like that. That everyone, it's the people in the creepy costume. You're looking, oh, creepy, and if it happens to be a thing that creeps you out for some reason, you go, yes. Really. And obviously, it was nothing. You hadn't imbibed any substances that had made it worse.
No, I don't do hallucinations. What? I don't do hallucinations.
No.
Listener, he rolled his eyes.
Sorry, I was. We also
I used to when I was a teenager at school field.
We also
swimming.
We also have a award for the best coffee at a festival. I thought I probably shouldn't claim this was the Brian Williams award for the best coffee at a festival without asking him.
Friend of the show, Brian Williams.
Friend of the show, Brian Williams.
Friend of the presenter,
Brian Williams. We will be doing a crossover at some point.
Is it 2 years we've been saying that?
There'll be a voiceover at this point, but Brian has been on a podcast about coffee. Have a listen. They talk about coffee. If what you're interested in is people talking about coffee, that's the one to listen. Brian appeared on episode C of the Espresso podcast. You can find it on www.espresso, that's ESPRESSNO.org. Enjoy. And have a read of his blog, brian-coffee-spot.com. Anyway, the best coffee at a festival is Callum's Real Coffee between the Fields of Avalon and the West Holt stage at Glastonbury.
Fantastic.
Really nice coffee. Which brings us to our two final awards. We have our award for a favourite venue, which perhaps should be favourite new venue. I do want to do a shout out to the Port of Call in Clifton. It's always been a great pub. It's now a great pub which quite frequently has really good music. I heard the Royal Troman there again. I heard Gaz Brookfield there. I heard Hobo Jones from Glastonbury. I mean, he doesn't live in Glastonbury, but associated with Glastonbury. And sort of, evenings in which the landlord is crowd surfing. Evenings, because it's a vaguely pirate themed band where there's free rum. Evenings where I got evenings where they'd officially closed and said, "Oh no, you can't have another drink, sir. You're a regular." I mean, it's just how good a pub is that? I mean, I'm sure that if they're doing it to me, they're doing it to all the regulars. It's just.
Well, I won't now. You put it on the radio.
Oh God, sod! No, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Of course, it didn't happen. No, but really.
But they've been under new management the last couple of years, haven't they?
But yeah,
or last year or so.
It gives about the last 18 months. Yeah. No. So far with the best gigs I've been doing the last. The Roaring Trowman did a St Piran's Day. St Piran's Day. I think we mentioned that. St Piran's Day. They didn't do Cousin Jack, so it was all right. Which brings us to our final award, which is for the overall favourite performer of the year. Now, I must admit, I feel a bit guilty about this because I was looking back over what I've had in the past, and the previous artists of the year have been Martin Carthy, some young guy whose name temporarily escapes me,
some bloke you're stalking,
and Nick Jones. So I do notice that while we could have said Jim Tabor, we could have said Lucy Ward, I do seem to keep picking blokes.
Oh, I hadn't necessarily noticed. I did notice. I think we were inadvertently slipping into. We kept talking about what Yoko Ono looked like, rather than her music. But yeah,
Okay.
No, I was doing it as well. I'm not.
Fair enough. But the committee has come up with this year for our favourite performer of the year. I heard Bellowhead in Brighton with my little cousin, my little nephew. My cousin is middle aged. My cousin's older than me. Where my cousin came from, I don't know. But with my
uncle, I would imagine.
with my nephew in Brighton, and again with one of my mates in Bristol, and Bellowhead are live amazing. We both heard at Trowbridge Festival again, Eliza Carthy's Wayward Band.
Yeah, very consistent.
Very, very good. And if it hadn't been the Yoko Ono, my second choice for best thing of the year would, without any question, have been the Maiden of the Great War show. And the consistent feature across all of those is Sam Sweeney. Now, you didn't hear the Maiden of the Great War. You have listened to the record.
I have. I really wish I'd been to see it live because I wasn't mad enamoured with the record, but I could see that it would have been a completely different animal as a live performance.
Yeah. And I think, if anyone doesn't know, it's the actual show. Of course, you only get half the show on the record anyway, because at the show, the first half is just a gig. They do some. It's Sam Sweeney, Sam Sweeney, Robert Harbron, and Paul Sartin from Bellowhead. And Robert Harbron is sort of go-to squeeze box guy. He's in the new trio with Sam Sweeney, Leverage. Everything crosses over. It's over. So the first half is pretty much just them doing numbers, First World War themed songs, with Hugh Lupton, who is a storyteller. He wrote a number of songs for Chris Wood. He wrote the amazing Fish and Chip Shop song. 1 in a Million.
1 in a Million, yeah.
He actually wrote some of the more obscure ones. I've never really understood what Two Widows is about, but sometimes people who describe themselves as storytellers can be a bit
People who can't juggle.
Mannered. I think this is the first time I've seen him. I mean, I've heard him on a panel once, but I've seen him. I think he has a capacity to tell stories pretty much just talk. In the first half, he told a African folk tale and a story out of Homer. The reason he told the story out of Homer was storyologists have found that contemporary gypsy traveller storytellers seem to be telling classical Greek stories, and who knows? But he thinks that it was that this is the First World War. People were sitting around fires in the First World War telling stories, and when it got to the officers' turn, and he thinks that's worked its way into the, who knows. The second half is the meat of it, which is this story about this fiddle, the violin that Sam Sweeney has acquired. The story is that the pieces were made by the soldier, or this guy, who was then called up to the First World War and didn't come back. And it was then assembled like recently, so that Sam Sweeney has got this thing which is a brand new violin, but which has got the maker's mark of made in the Great War. They found out what they can about this person. There's not very much, but there's basic facts. They know where he went to school, they know what his job was, they know obviously the facts about the battle he died in. And Hugh Lupton does an amazing job actually of spinning it out as a story, and he's very big on. In fact, the reason he tells the African story, which is about the African story he tells involves a guy dying and various people with various magic powers bring him back. But what really brought him back was someone knew that he was there to be brought back. And he says this is what storytelling is about. It's about remembering, putting back together. And he says that's what we're doing in this. It didn't come across as well on the record, but it was a fantastically powerful evening. I wasn't the only one. It was another thing in a relatively small venue, so there's plenty of sort of talking to the performers afterwards. And I wasn't the only one. And I said to Sam Sweeney, that made me cry. And he said, yeah, me too. And it actually finishes, they tell the story, it actually finishes with this film footage that I'm not going to cry on air, it's all right. But no, the fact they've got the footage of Sam Sweeney goes to the war graves and finds this guy's grave, plays the violin. There's footage of him online playing last post. Absolutely brilliant evening. I think we had as one of the songs, the best new song, the Ballad of Richard Howard, which is brilliant. It's Hugh Lupton's words again, and what he does is he sort of appropriates the two sisters, and so the song about the violin, it becomes the soldier's body is made into the violin, and they play the violin, and then all the battlefields fall silent. So Andrew
has just literally thrown a hammer across the room.
Thrown a hammer across the room. So yeah. The only thing the thing which didn't come across either on the record, and I didn't think actually worked on the stage, was they do a musical. They do some musical stuff. I mean, Paul Sartin ought to be good at doing that, and I thought that was flat.
I think the record really suffers from being so sort of obviously orphaned from its context, I think. Because it almost in parts sounds like a museum walking tour type tone to it, doesn't it? I keep saying that I really wish I'd been able to see it when it came out.
I'm sure they'll do it again. In fact, I wonder whether they'll get some sort of grant to do it as some kind of film, because I think it would. You could do that. You've got artifacts. You could show it. There was quite a bit of projection in it, but yes, in some ways, in some ways, that was my folk event of the year as well.
Much as I said about Diabetes Blues, you talked about this for months. It really, it clearly was really, really affecting.
And also it's something when you've been immersing yourself in a particular genre, the fact of people and names coming up. So the fact that Sam Sweeney was one of the trio of kids they kept promoting on the radio program I liked, and then I think I heard him in Kerfuffle, and then Bellowhead. One of the first gigs I went to actually was Nancy Kerr and James Fagan, who had Robert Harbour on, and it's sort of the way, and obviously Paul Sarton is in Bellowhead. It's that sort of, yes, it's those people. I know those people. I've seen them in lots of things.
I think it was the old blokes out of Fairport who always used to laugh about. You remember the television programme Rock Family Trees?
Oh, yes.
That there was, who used to find the idea of folk family trees very entertaining because it would be so intertwined.
Yes.
And
yes, I once heard someone introduce Martin Carthy and said, normally when I introduce someone, I tell you all the things they've been in. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Carthy was never in Fairport Convention. Well, do you think it's getting cold on this station?
I think it's getting very cold and very
think there's
damp.
any chance
We're
we're gonna
surrounded by tramps.
I don't
It's a
think
bit
there's
like
any
Theatre of Blood.
And
this
if there's
point.
any chance we're going to get to Cardiff now...
I don't think so. Particularly because there's no train to Cardiff from this station.
No, but we'd had to have gone... We could have walked to Temple Meads in this time.
We could have walked to Cardiff in this time.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the artists.
Thank you to the audience.
Thank you to the audience of tramps.
Theatre of Blood style tramps. Not real tramps, because that would be offensive. They're classically trained dancers dressed as tramps.
And we will be back at some point. Are we going to do? We're planning on doing some eccentric things, aren't we?
We're gonna branch out a bit.
We're going to do. So next one, are we going to do Jack Thackeray next?
We are going to do it. Well, yeah, we're going to do Jake Thackeray. As far as we know, we're going to do Jake Thackeray next. Circumstances permitting.
We're going to do some stuff. We're going to talk about music.
It's all kicking off.
It's all kicking off. We're brilliant. Thank you for listening.
Where should they contact us?
Oh yeah, if you want to contact us, look at our webpage, which is folkbuddies.co.uk, or email us on mail@folkbuddies.co.uk.
Okay. We're on Twitter as
Folkbuddies,
and
there's even you could even find us on Facebook.
are we on Facebook?
Yeah, we are on Facebook.
We're apparently on Facebook.
We don't do much more than say, hey, we've done a new podcast, but we're on Facebook. And most importantly, if you've listened to this and enjoyed it, drop us an email and say, look, I've listened to it.
Yeah.
Because
and if they really loved us, they'd leave us a review on iTunes.
They do that as well. We know people are listening to it because we know we get the little wobbly line goes up sometimes. So yeah, no, right in terms we're talking rubbish. You know?
Yes.
Maybe somewhere in the people listening is the other person who doesn't like Led Jackson.
Sure, they're out there. So yeah, woo, that was us.
That was us.
So if you do the setup, and my role is just to broadly agree with you.
Hello, folk buddies. Our plan for this evening was we were going to go to the Radio 2 Folk Awards in Cardiff and sort of live tweet and blog them. Unfortunately, it seems that there's been a...
I think you're making it sound too realistic.
I think it'll suddenly become less realistic.
Yeah, but I think it's. I think people who've listened to you saying this will feel like you've tricked them rather than an amusing conceit.
Good heavens. Okay, we'll try.
Sorry, it's
only. Let's try.
you don't understand the audience on the wrong. You don't want to start the audience thinking unsympathetically. I don't know.
Hello.
I just thought it. I just thought this is not something I usually say, but I thought there wasn't enough wink in your voice.
I was building up to it. Oh, well, let's try it.
Right. 1, 2, 3, go.
Hello, folk buddies. This is the fourth annual Monty Awards. We were actually hoping to go to the real Folk Awards in Cardiff, and I don't know, live blog or tweet them or something. I mean, we haven't got tickets, but we thought, you know, we're so important we might have got in or something. However, the trains has apparently been held up due to scheduled leaves on the line in Didcot Parkway, and we're not sure if we're going to get there. So.
Don't make me responsible for this. So this is.
You're supposed to say. So why don't we do the show right here?
Oh shit! Yes, sorry. You did indeed tell me to do that earlier, and I forgot.
Should we go back and do that one more time?
Right, you just do if you do the introduction to me, and I'll say we can do the show.
So yes, due to scheduled leaves on the line at Didcot Parkway, we're on Montpelier Station, but it looks like we're not actually going to make it.
So let's do the show right here. Is that even what they say in musicals?
Yeah, let's do the show right here.
Let's do the show right here. It sounds wrong somehow, like we've got